Brother Matthews had this book up here earlier about not a fan, and at the top of the book it said updated and expanded. And I thought to myself, you know, if I had to leave today, if I had to leave right now, after experiencing this conference, I would be able to say I've been updated.
That's
right.
right.
Me too. You know, because it's been good. It's been rich. Have you ever heard of a statement that you write down because you want to use it someday and not give anybody credit for it? Is that just me? Well, I heard one the other day. Maybe you've heard this before, but I just think it just wowed me, and I want to tell you what it is. It says, "Gratitude unexpressed is ingratitude." Mm-hmm. Gratitude unexpressed is ingratitude. And you know, sometimes we say to ourselves, you know, that was kind of good, but we keep it to ourselves. And that statement says that it's ingratitude if you don't express it. So I did want to express my gratitude for the BMA and for all the conferences and for the support that we've experienced. You know, Sandy and I came along at a somewhat younger age to the BMA, and the doors were open to us, and it's been a good ride. It's been a wild ride sometimes, but it's been a good ride. And now currently I'm serving. A few weeks ago I was serving with Go Ye Fellowship, but now I'm serving with Global Grace, because Global Grace is the new name for Go Ye Fellowship. Oh. Global Grace Fellowship. What we were finding out, we're a mission sending agency. What we were finding out is that people on the mission field were asking, what does Go Ye mean? What is ye? Is that one person told us that there is an unreached people group in China called the Yi people. So, you know, the questions there would be, are you folks that are dealing with the Yi people? And so they wanted to modernize the title, and it's not as simple as you might think it would be, because you got to get buy-in from everybody, and took about several months to emails and conversations and telephone conferences and committees and that. So they came up with Global Grace Fellowship. So that's who I'm representing now. And so if you don't have my new card, just ask me and I'll give you one. And so we have missionaries in over 40 countries, and they are doing various types of ministry. We'll have people that are working with the deaf in Mexico. We'll have people that are working with human trafficking in the United States. We have people that are church planting in Indonesia. You know, there's people. We have people working with refugees in Europe. Just varying types of ministries out there on most of the continents, and God is honoring them. And the good thing is when they come together, every 5 years they have a convocation. They come together for a retreat in California, and they get to see the works that other people are doing. And it just makes them feel like so much like a family. And if we could get every missionary that we've ever supported through the BMA to just come together, wow, and see what the other missionaries are doing, I think we'd be blown out of the water on that. And so I have a great opportunity nowadays to visit some of these sites and to see what they're doing, and it is a blessing. I have a list of things here that helped me to maybe express this a little better. We talk about the Western Church being somewhat weak in some areas, and then you go overseas and you see some of the same things overseas. But one of the things that I've noticed that they're more likely to try to practice the hard sayings of Jesus in some of these other countries. Love your enemies. It's a little bit harder when you're being persecuted, but they've learned to do that. They've learned to be servants. If you want to be great, first learn to be a servant. If someone strikes you across the face, turn your head and let them slap you on the other side. We see that overseas a lot with these missionaries and the works that they're doing. If they steal your coat, give them your shirt as well. If you want to live, you need to die to yourself. We've heard some of that referenced here today and in the different sessions. And over in Luke chapter 10, verse 3, it's a really neat verse. You've heard it before. It says, "Go your way," Jesus is telling them. "Behold, I send you out as lambs among wolves." Now, I don't know if you know this, but that's why I'm here, because I'm going to give you new knowledge. But in the history of the known world, no lamb has ever won a fight with a wolf. Okay, you got that? It's deeper. Yet Jesus sent them out as lambs among wolves. Yeah. The idea that, trusting in His name, they would have victory. The blood of the Lamb, the word of the testimony. We cannot take the credit ourselves. No. We have to give the credit to the Lord. I've been just slapped silly today by the teaching here. Just how important it is for us to know our place. Yes. and how God is in control. He is not only what was that saying? Somebody said that God is in charge. Well, it reminded me of another saying. God is large and in charge. Okay. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. And one other thing I want to leave with you from the persecuted church, those out there that are suffering for the Lord in ways that we probably can't imagine, they still proclaim the gospel. They don't go to their pastor and say, please pray to get us out of this. They are proclaiming the gospel. They have the freedom to speak the gospel, because the freedom doesn't come from the government. It comes from our relationship to Jesus Christ. Amen. He tells us to preach the gospel. And so they have a message for the Western church, and that is don't ever give up in freedom what the persecuted church hasn't given up in persecution. Amen.
Wow. Say that again.
Don't ever give up in freedom what the persecuted church hasn't given up in persecution.
Wow. That's good.
Yes, the times are kind of challenging and they're changing, and who knows what's going to happen next week or the next 5 minutes. But God is large and He is in charge, and He's given us the freedom, He's given us the authority, He's given us the command to proclaim the gospel. Amen. And missionaries are doing it. I'm glad that I can be a missionary to missionaries, and I'm glad that I can witness some of the great works that are going on out there. So, amen.
Amen. Large and